It was a regular Tuesday morning in Seattle. Gray skies, light drizzle, and the smell of freshly ground beans filling a quiet cafe on 3rd and Pine. Emily stood behind the counter, tying her green apron, humming softly. She'd worked here for almost 2 years. Most days were the same. Long hours, short breaks, and just enough tips to almost cover rent. At 8:14 a.m., the front door opened. A man in a hoodie and ball cap walked in. Sunglasses, quiet energy, something oddly familiar about him. Emily smiled. "Morning. What can I get started for you?" He glanced at the menu, then spoke with a soft, steady tone. "Small drip, black." Before Emily could type it in, a voice behind the man piped up, loud, theatrical. "A drip coffee. Seriously?" Emily looked up. A sharply dressed businessman stood in line, grinning smugly. "Dude, this is Seattle. You've got pour-overs, oat milk cold foam, and you order a drip?" The man in the hoodie didn't turn around. He just pulled out a $10 bill and handed it to Emily. "Keep the change," he said simply. Emily blinked. "Sir, that's a $5 coffee." He just smiled. "Then maybe make someone else's day with the rest." He walked away, settled into a corner seat, and opened a small notebook. Emily stood frozen for a beat. The businessman scoffed again. "Cheap coffee, big tip. Must be one of those fake-it-till-you-make-it tech guys." Emily finally looked at the receipt. Her jaw dropped. $5,000 tip. She looked over at the corner. The man had pulled off his sunglasses. It was Elon Musk. Emily stared at the receipt again. Her hands were shaking. $5,000. She looked back up. Elon was still there, sipping quietly, flipping through pages of what looked like rocket schematics. She walked over, cautiously. "Sir, I think this is a mistake." He looked up. "No mistake." "But why me?" Elon smiled faintly. "I liked the way you looked people in the eye. That matters more than most things." He stood up, tucked the notebook under his arm, and said, "Oh, and the guy behind me? He needed the lesson more than I needed the coffee." Before she could respond, he was already out the door. An hour later, Emily's coworker posted a photo of the receipt on Twitter. "Elon Musk walked into our shop, ordered a $5 coffee, left a $5,000 tip, said, 'Just coffee. Legend. Had tip of the year.' By noon, it had over 200,000 retweets. By sunset, every news outlet had the headline, 'Elon Musk tips $5K for $5 coffee,' and says, 'Just coffee.'" Emily's phone exploded with messages. Old high school friends, reporters, a DM from someone claiming to be Ellen's producer. But Emily? She was back behind the counter, still pouring lattes, still saying, "Next in line." Only now, every customer looked at her like she was magic. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a question began to whisper, what if this wasn't just about coffee? Emily lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling of her tiny apartment above a laundromat. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Notifications, articles, strangers calling her a hero. But she didn't feel like a hero. She felt awake. The envelope with the $5,000 sat unopened on her nightstand. She could pay rent for 3 months, fix her car, maybe even take a vacation. But something about Elon's words kept echoing. "I liked the way you looked people in the eye." She thought about that. Every day, she greeted hundreds of people. She remembered names, drink orders, allergies, breakups, first dates. She made people feel seen. That was something. The next morning, Emily opened a blank document on her laptop. At the top, she typed, "Grounded, coffee on wheels." It wasn't flashy. It wasn't fancy. It was a coffee truck that made people feel human again. Locally sourced beans, sliding scale pricing, and handwritten notes taped to every cup. 3 weeks later, the first grounded truck was parked at the corner of 5th and Jackson. Hand-painted, slightly crooked, but alive. Emily's old customers lined up before she even turned the lights on. One man teared up reading the note taped to his lid. "You matter today, and tomorrow, too." and across the city. A familiar black Tesla slowed as it passed. Inside, Elon looked out the window, saw the logo, smiled, and whispered to himself, "Just coffee, huh?" It started small, one cup at a time. Every morning, Emily handwrote notes and stuck them to every lid. Some said, "The world is better with you in it." Others said, "Bad day? Start here." Customers didn't just drink the coffee. They took pictures, posted them, shared their stories. Grounded coffee started trending by the end of the second week. A woman from Portland wrote, "I hadn't spoken to anyone in days. Then I got a cup with a note that said, 'Your voice still matters.' I cried in my car. Thank you." A teenager in Ohio recreated the model with Grounded Junior, free lemonade, and affirmation cards. A cafe in Toronto launched Kind Cup Days, inspired by Emily's approach. And then an email came from a man named Ryan, the same one who mocked Elon in line. Subject line, "I owe you a cup." Emily clicked. "Hi, you probably don't remember me. I was the loud guy behind Elon that day. I laughed at the drip coffee. But what I didn't realize was, he saw something I didn't. You. I've watched what you've done since. I just wanted to say I was wrong. And if you ever open a second truck, I'd like to help fund it. No catch. Just thanks." Emily stared at the screen for a long time, then smiled and whispered, "One cup at a time." 2 weeks later, the second grounded truck opened, this time near the University District. The sign was bolder. The crowd was bigger. And at the very end of the line stood Ryan. Gray suit. No smirk. Just a quiet man with his hands in his pockets. Emily spotted him the second he stepped up. She smiled. "Black drip, right?" Ryan chuckled softly. "You remembered?" "Of course," she said. "Some things leave a mark." He handed her a folded note. "I meant every word in the email." She opened it later. Inside was a cashier's check, $25,000, labeled "For your next truck or someone else's." But Ryan didn't ask for thanks. He stayed, drank his coffee quietly at one of the standing tables. Before he left, he came back to the counter. "You know," he said, "I used to think success was who ordered the most expensive thing on the menu." Emily tilted her head. "And now?" "Now I think it's about who leaves the biggest wake behind them." She smiled. "We just serve coffee." He grinned. "Not even close." That night, Emily posted a new quote on the side of the second truck. "Kindness is stronger than roast level." Underneath, a new sign, "Third truck coming soon." The seed Elon planted had grown roots, but Emily, she was just getting started. It was 1 year later. Seattle's skyline blinked beneath a soft spring dusk. The city buzzed, but in a quiet park on Capitol Hill, a crowd had gathered. 3 grounded trucks stood side by side. New colors, new teams, same handwritten notes on every cup. Emily stepped onto a small wooden platform, holding a warm mug and a folded speech. She didn't read it. She looked out at the crowd and said, "I thought this all started because of a tip, but now I know. It started because someone saw me when no one else did." She paused, looked up. And the crazy part, he only said 3 words. "Keep the change." People laughed, clapped. Some wiped their eyes. In the back of the crowd, a black Tesla idled. Inside, Elon Musk watched through the window. He didn't get out, didn't need to. He just whispered, "That's the best return I've ever made." Back on stage, Emily continued, "We're expanding. Not because we want to franchise, but because people everywhere want to feel grounded." She held up her coffee cup, to being seen, to being kind, and to the ones who believed in us when all we served was just coffee. The crowd raised their cups. As night fell, Emily sat quietly on the back step of the truck. She sipped her drink and looked up at the stars. And for the first time in her life, she didn't feel small. Because sometimes, the smallest cups leave the biggest ripples.
If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe for more inspiring stories.